Hi, and welcome back to Reddit Whispers. If you're tuning in for the first time, this is where we peel back the layers of those raw, unfiltered stories from the depths of the internet. Tales that hit close to home, full of twists, hard eggs, and those moments that make you question everything you thought you knew about love and trust. I'm your host, and today, I'm not just narrating someone else's confession, I'm sharing something that's ripped straight from my own life. Yeah, you heard that right. This one's personal. It's about betrayal, second-guessing every memory, and trying to figure out if forgiveness is a strength or just a way to avoid the pain. We'll dive deep, starting not from the sunny beginnings, but from that gut punch moment when a simple Facebook message turned my world upside down. I've added my own reflections along the way, some humor to keep it from getting too dark, because, let's face it, if you can't laugh a little at the absurdity of it all, what's left? And remember, while this is inspired by real events in my life, I've woven in thoughts and details to make sense of the chaos. Buckle up. This is going to be a long one, clocking in at around 30 minutes of whispers. Let's get into it. Picture this. It's a regular Tuesday evening in late July 2025. The sun's dipping low outside our suburban home, casting long shadows across the lawn that I mowed just last weekend. I'm sitting on the couch in our cozy living room, the kind with mismatched pillows my wife picked out during one of her nesting phases when we were expecting our first child. The kids are finally asleep upstairs, our two little ones, ages 5 and 3, who think the world of us. Their rooms are filled with toys and storybooks, remnants of the bedtime routine I just wrapped up. Reading Goodnight Moon for the umpteenth time, tucking them in with kisses on their foreheads, and whispering promises that tomorrow will be another adventure. I'm scrolling through Facebook mindlessly, catching up on old friends' vacation photos from exotic places like Bali or the Grand Canyon, the usual political rants that make me roll my eyes, and memes that occasionally draw a chuckle. That's my way of unwinding after a long day at the office, where I manage a team in IT, troubleshooting servers and dealing with endless emails. Then, a notification pops up. A message from a stranger, someone named Emily. Her profile pic shows a smiling woman in her late 20s with curly hair and a background that looks like a coffee shop. Nothing out of the ordinary at first glance. But the preview, it hits like a freight train. You should know about your wife and my fiancé. My heart skips a beat. No, scratch that. It slams into overdrive, pounding so hard I can feel it in my ears. The room suddenly feels smaller, the air thicker, like someone's turned up the heat even though the AC is humming steadily. I click open the message, and there it is, laid out in cold digital text. Your girlfriend/wife has been having an affair with my fiancé since the spring of 2023. I have proof. She goes on to explain how she discovered it while going through his phone, finding old messages and photos that shattered her own world.
Man, in that instant, time freezes. The remote slips from my hand, clattering onto the hardwood floor, but I barely notice. I've seen this scenario play out in movies, some thriller where the hero gets an anonymous tip that unravels his life, leading to chases and confrontations. But this is me, right here, in my sweatpants with a half-eaten bowl of cereal going soggy on the coffee table. The spoon is still in my hand, forgotten. I stare at the screen, rereading the words over and over, hoping it's a scam or a mistake, maybe a phishing attempt or some cruel prank from a bored troll online. But deep down, that nagging voice in my head whispers, "You knew something was off." And yeah, maybe I did. Our marriage hadn't been perfect, but who has that fairy tale version anyway? We've been together for 7 years, married for just 9 months, and I thought we were solid. Or at least solid enough to weather the storms life throws at you. Let me rewind a bit, because stories like this don't start with the explosion. They build up like a storm you ignore until the lightning strikes, illuminating everything in harsh, unforgiving light. We met back in 2018 at a mutual friend's barbecue in the backyard of a house in our neighborhood. The grill was smoking, burgers sizzling, and the air was filled with the scent of charcoal and summer grass. I was 28 then, fresh out of a dead-end job in sales where I'd spent years cold calling strangers and hitting quotas that felt meaningless. I was trying to pivot into something more stable, like the tech field, where I eventually landed that prestigious but demanding position in IT management. She was 26, vibrant, with this laugh that could light up a room full of shadows. Let's call her Sarah. Not her real name, but it'll do for this telling. Sarah worked in marketing, always the social butterfly, flitting from project to project with that effortless charm that drew people in like moths to a flame. We hit it off over burnt burgers and bad jokes. I remember spilling mustard on my shirt, and instead of being embarrassed, she laughed and handed me a napkin, saying, "At least it's not ketchup. That stuff stains forever." From there, conversation flowed easily. We talked about our favorite movies. Hers were rom-coms like When Harry Met Sally. Mine were action flicks like Die Hard. Our dreams. I wanted to travel the world someday. She dreamed of starting her own creative agency. And even our fears. Mine was failing at providing for a family. Hers was ending up alone in a big city. I remember thinking, this girl's out of my league, with her confident smile and quick wit. But somehow she saw something in me, the steady guy, the one who'd show up with coffee on her rough days or fix her computer when it crashed during a big presentation. Our early days were magic, pure and simple. Dates at hole-in-the-wall diners where we'd share fries and debate the best toppings for pizza. Pineapple? Absolutely not. We'd agree with mock horror. Weekend hikes in the nearby state park where we'd trek up trails lined with pine trees, talking for hours about everything and nothing. Childhood memories, like how I used to build forts in the woods with my brothers, or how she spent summers at her grandparents' farm learning to bake apple pies. We'd stop at viewpoints, overlooking valleys dotted with wildflowers, and just sit there, hands intertwined, watching the sunset. Those moments felt eternal, like we were the only two people in the world. I fell hard, and she did too, or so it seemed.
As time went on, life got busier. We moved in together in 2019 into a small apartment downtown with creaky floors and a view of the city skyline. It was cozy. Mornings with coffee brewing, evenings cooking pasta while listening to playlists we'd curate together. Our first child came in 2020, a surprise but a welcome one. I remember the pregnancy, her cravings for pickles and ice cream at midnight, me running to the store in my pajamas. The birth was intense, hours in the hospital, holding her hand, wiping sweat from her brow, and then that first cry from our son, a tiny bundle that changed everything. Fatherhood hit me like a wave. Suddenly, priorities shifted. Work ramped up, I got promoted, but it meant longer hours, more stress. Sarah went back to her job after maternity leave, juggling deadlines and daycare pickups. Our second child arrived in 2022, a daughter with Sarah's eyes and my stubborn streak. By then, we'd bought the house, the one with the backyard for barbecues, and a swing set I assembled myself, cursing under my breath at the confusing instructions. Life was a whirlwind, diaper changes, preschool runs, birthday parties with balloons and cake smeared everywhere. But amid the chaos, there were beautiful moments. Family movie nights curled up on the couch with popcorn, holidays where we decorate the tree and exchange gifts, me surprising her with flowers on random Tuesdays just because. I thought we were building something unbreakable. I proposed in 2024. On a beach trip we'd planned spontaneously during a rare weekend off.
The sand was warm under our feet, waves crashing in the background as the sun dipped into the ocean. I got down on one knee, ring in hand, a simple diamond she'd once pointed out in a window. And she said yes with tears in her eyes, hugging me so tight I could feel her heartbeat against mine. Our wedding was small but perfect, a garden ceremony with family and close friends, vows that promised forever through thick and thin, sickness and health. We danced under string lights to our song, Can't Help Falling in Love, and I whispered in her ear, "This is just the beginning." Little did I know how prophetic that would be, but not in the way I imagined. But looking back, there were cracks, subtle at first, like hairline fractures in a foundation you don't notice until the house starts shifting. My job transfer came right after the engagement, Suddenly, I was pulling 12-hour shifts, odd hours that left me exhausted and irritable. I'd come home late, collapse into bed, and wake up to do it all again. Our connection suffered, not vanished entirely, but the spark dimmed. Sarah complained sometimes, saying she felt lonely, like she was handling everything alone. The kids' baths, dinner prep, bedtime stories. I'd brush it off with apologies and promises. It's temporary, babe. Once I settle in, it'll be better. We're in this together. Classic mistake, right? Hindsight's a cruel teacher, mocking you with "I told you so."
And Sarah? She was always a flirt. Not in a malicious way, at least that's what I told myself to keep the peace. At office parties or social gatherings, she'd chat animatedly with colleagues, laughing a tad too loud at their jokes, touching an arm lightly in conversation. I'd pull her aside once or twice. "Hey, that guy's looking at you like you're the star of the show." She'd roll her eyes, call me jealous or insecure, promise it was harmless fun. "I'm with you, aren't I?" she'd say, planting a kiss on my cheek that melted my worries away, at least temporarily. But now, with this message burning a hole in my phone, those moments replay like warning signs I ignored, flashing neon lights saying danger ahead that I drove past without a second glance. Back to that fateful evening. I don't confront Sarah right away. No, I stew in silence, the message open on my screen as I pace the living room, the carpet muffling my footsteps. My mind is a tornado, questions swirling, emotions clashing. Who is this Mark? How long has this been going on? Is our entire life a facade? I feel sick, like the ground shifting under me, threatening to swallow me whole. Humor me for a second. It's like discovering your favorite pizza place has been using expired cheese all along, betrayed by something you loved unconditionally, leaving a bad taste that lingers. I reply to Emily, my fingers shaking on the keyboard as I type, "What proof? Tell me everything." She responds quickly, as if she's been waiting, pent up with her own anger and hurt. She sends screenshots, messages between Sarah and her fiancé, Mark, explicit details about meetings, shared secrets, photos that make my stomach churn and my vision blur with rage and tears. Texts like, "Can't wait to see you again," with dates stamped from spring 2023, but Emily claims some evidence points to as recent as 2025. My mind races. Is this ongoing? Has our marriage, our vows been built on quicksand? The betrayal feels visceral, like a knife twisting slowly in my chest.
Sarah comes on from her evening yoga class about an hour later, all smiles and sweat-kissed cheeks, her ponytail swinging as she drops her gym bag by the door. "Hey, honey, how was your day?" she asks, leaning in for a quick peck on the cheek. Her scent, lavender body wash mixed with the faint tang of exertion, usually comforts me, but tonight it turns my stomach. I can't even look at her directly. My eyes dart to the floor, the wall, anywhere but her face. We sit down for dinner, leftover pasta from the night before, nothing fancy, just reheated in the microwave with some garlic bread on the side. The kids are asleep, so it's just us at the table, forks clinking against plates in awkward silence. Finally, I can't hold it in anymore. "Who's Mark?" I blurt out, my voice steadier than I feel inside. Her face pales instantly, like someone's drained the color from her cheeks. She sets her fork down slowly, eyes widening. "What? Just a coworker. Why do you ask?" But there's a tremor in her words, a hesitation that confirms my worst fears. I pull out my phone, show her the messages from Emily, the screenshots, the accusations. The color drains further and she breaks down, tears streaming down her face as she covers her mouth with her hand. "Oh God, I'm so sorry. It was nothing, just some flirting that got out of hand." Line number one, and it hangs in the air like smoke. I press harder, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. "Emily says you were involved with him, deeply, for years." And that's when she crumbles completely, sliding off her chair onto the kitchen floor, sobbing uncontrollably. "It happened, but it's over. Please, let me explain." According to Sarah, it started in spring 2023. She was depressed at work, a toxic boss who micromanaged every move, endless deadlines that left her drained and questioning her worth. Mark, a coworker in her department, paid attention when no one else did. What began as flirty chats over coffee breaks escalated into something more emotional, a connection that filled the void she felt at home. "It was just once," she swears through her tears, a moment of weakness. I felt awful immediately, overwhelmed with guilt. I cut it off right after and blocked him everywhere.
He wasn't happy about it, she says, kept pushing for more contact, but she stood firm. They stopped working together a year and a half ago when he switched jobs to another company across town. No contact since, she claims emphatically. But Emily's proof? Those recent dates on the photos and messages? Sarah insists it's a glitch, metadata stripped from old files, re-downloaded or manipulated in some way. I swear on our kids' lives, it's ancient history, she sobs, clutching at my shirt. I love you. I chose you every day since then. We got married after that. Doesn't that prove it? Man, hearing her confess like that, it's like a punch to the soul, knocking the wind out of me. We're still in the kitchen, dishes forgotten on the table, the pasta growing cold. She's on her knees now, begging for forgiveness, her makeup smudged from tears. I was lonely. You were always at work, but that's no excuse. I hate myself for it. And yeah, it isn't an excuse. It's a reason, but one that doesn't erase the pain. The lies sting deepest. She tried to downplay it at first, claiming no real involvement. I panicked, she explains between hiccups. I didn't want to lose you, our family, everything we've built. Fair enough in theory, but trust? It's shattered glass now, sharp edges everywhere, cutting with every step. That night, I don't sleep a wink. I retreat to the guest room. We have one for when family visits with a lumpy mattress and spare blankets. I pace back and forth, the floorboards creaking under my weight, replaying our life like a movie on fast forward. Remember our first vacation as a couple? A road trip to the mountains in 2019 where we got lost on a back road and ended up at this quirky diner straight out of the 1950s with checkered floors and a jukebox playing oldies. We laughed until our sides hurt, sharing a milkshake and promising to make more spontaneous adventures. Or the birth of our first kid, me holding her hand through 18 hours of labor, promising I'd always be there no matter what. The joy when the doctor handed us our son, wrapped in a blanket, his tiny fingers gripping mine. Now, it all feels tainted, colored by doubt. Was she thinking of him during our quiet family dinners? Did she compare our life to what could have been with him? Dark thoughts creep in like shadows. Once a cheater, always a cheater, the old saying goes. Is it true? Or was this a one-off lapse fueled by her vulnerability and my absence from being so wrapped up in work?
The next day, I call in sick to work, first time in years, and we talk more, sitting on the porch swing as the morning sun filters through the leaves of our oak tree. She's proactive, offering to hand over her phone records, emails, anything to verify the timeline. I'll share my location via the app 24/7 if that's what it takes, she says, her eyes red-rimmed from crying all night. We book couples therapy for the following week with a counselor recommended by a friend who'd been through something similar. She's remorseful, disgusted with herself for letting it happen. I was weak, she admits, staring at her hands. Work sucked the life out of me. You were gone a lot, our daily connection was lacking. But I own it. It's my fault. No, it's not just hers. I played a part by not being present enough. But the betrayal, that's on her. Let's pause for a reflection here, because these stories aren't just about the act of betrayal. They're about the why, the how, and the what now. Infidelity often stems from unmet needs, emotional voids we ignore until they explode like a pressure cooker left on too long. Sarah felt unseen, undervalued. I was too wrapped up in climbing the corporate ladder to notice the signs like her sighs at dinner, or the way she'd stare out the window lost in thought. Not justifying what she did, but understanding the root helps in healing, or at least in deciding if healing is possible. And humor? Picture me, a grown man in his 30s, Googling how to recover from betrayal at 3 a.m., surrounded by crumpled tissues and empty coffee mugs on the nightstand. It's pathetic, but oh so real. Like, who writes the manual for this stuff? Step 1, don't punch a wall even if it feels therapeutic. Step 2, cry it out, then make a plan. Days blur into a haze of tension and tentative steps.
I go back to work on autopilot, managing my IT team, troubleshooting network issues, attending virtual meetings where I nod along, but my mind is elsewhere. Colleagues notice the bags under my eyes. "You okay, man? You look like you haven't slept in a week." I mumble something vague about family stuff and change the subject. At home, the atmosphere is thick, like walking through fog. We tiptoe around each other, polite but distant. Good mornings exchanged over coffee, bedtime routines handled separately. The kids sense it. Our 5-year-old asks innocently, "Why is mommy sad all the time?" I fake a smile, ruffle his hair. "Grown-up stuff, buddy. It'll be fine, I promise." But will it? That's the million-dollar question hanging over us like a storm cloud.
Therapy starts the next week, in a cozy office downtown with soft lighting and a box of tissues on the table. Our counselor is a no-nonsense guy in his 50s, with a beard and a calm demeanor that puts you at ease. He dives right in during our first session. Trust is rebuilt with consistent actions, not just words or promises. Sarah nods eagerly, gripping my hand. I sit stone-faced, arms crossed, still processing the anger bubbling inside. We unpack layer by layer. Her depression at work, how the boss's constant criticism chipped away at her self-esteem, my neglect, admitting I prioritized promotions over quality time at home. Communication failed us, he says, jotting notes on his pad. True enough, we'd stopped having those deep talks, replaced by quick check-ins about groceries and bills. Sarah shares more details in subsequent sessions, her voice trembling as she describes how Mark made her feel desired and heard, like she mattered beyond being a mom and wife. It hurts to hear, like salt in an open wound, but honesty stings less than the secrets that festered. I vent my side. I feel like a fool. We got married 9 months ago, exchanged vows in front of everyone, and now this bombshell drops. How do I know it won't happen again? She cries. I hold back my own tears, not wanting to show weakness yet. The counselor guides us through exercises, writing letters to each other about our feelings, role-playing conversations to practice vulnerability. It's awkward at first, like learning a new language, but slowly it starts to chip away at the walls we've built. Weeks turn into months. Phone records arrive in the mail, pages of logs that match her timeline. A flurry of texts and calls in 2023, then abrupt silence. No recent activity. Emily might have been mistaken about the dates, perhaps from old backups or something technical. Relief washes over me like a cool breeze on a hot day, but doubt still lingers in the corners of my mind. Sarah's changed noticeably. No more flirty vibes at social events. She even deletes her social media apps to avoid temptations, focusing instead on us as a family. Date nights resume. Simple things, like picnics in the park where we watch the kids play on the swings, or cooking new recipes together in the kitchen, laughing when the sauce splatters everywhere.
But nights are the toughest. Flashbacks hit without warning. Imagining her with him, the lies she told to cover up. I wake up sweating, heart pounding like a drum, staring at the ceiling fan spinning endlessly. Is it worth fighting for? I ask myself in those dark hours. Pros? We have a shared history. 2 amazing kids who light up our world. Genuine love that's weathered storms before. Cons? The betrayal's scar runs deep, a reminder that trust can be broken in an instant. I dive into research. Books on relationships like The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by John Gottman, podcasts about forgiveness, and online forums like Reddit's Surviving Infidelity subreddit, where anonymous users share their war stories. One guy wrote, "Forgave once and regretted it. Don't be a doormat." Another shared, "Worked through it with therapy. We're stronger now than ever." It's polarizing. No easy answers, just echoes of pain and hope. Humor break to lighten the load. Ever try those revenge fantasies that pop into your head? Like imagining keying Mark's car in a parking lot or posting a billboard with his face and the word homewrecker? Tempting in the heat of anger, but nah, I'm not that guy. Instead, I channel the energy into positive outlets, hitting the gym 3 times a week, lifting weights until my muscles burn, losing 10 pounds in the process. Silver lining? I look better than I have in years, and the endorphins help clear the mental fog. We're taking up running, pounding the pavement at dawn, the rhythmic thud of my sneakers matching my thoughts, sorting through the chaos 1 mile at a time. As fall approaches in 2025, progress shows in small ways. Our conversations deepen. How was your day? Really, tell me the highs and lows. We planned family outings, a trip to the pumpkin patch where the kids carved jack-o'-lanterns, their giggles filling the air as orange guts fly everywhere. Intimacy in our relationship returns gradually, vulnerable moments of closeness that rebuild the bond, though it's tentative, like testing ice on a frozen lake. Therapy continues, unpacking deeper baggage, my abandonment issues from childhood when my dad left us high and dry, her fear of aging and becoming invisible, rooted in watching her parents' marriage fade. We're rebuilding, brick by painstaking brick, mortar made of effort and time.
But is it forever? Who knows? Life doesn't come with guarantees. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting the hurt. It's choosing to move forward despite it, with eyes wide open. If she slips again, that's a deal breaker, no question. For now, though, I'm committed to giving it my all. Our story proves relationships are messy. Perfect ones are a myth peddled by Hallmark movies. Real ones? They're flawed, resilient, and worth the fight if both parties show up. Whew, sharing this extended version of my journey, it's cathartic, like releasing a weight I've carried too long. We twisted timelines, delve into flashbacks, added my rants, laughs, and life lessons along the way. The core truth remains. Betrayal sucks the air out of the room, but resilience can breathe life back in if you let it. Thank you for listening to my story here on Reddit Whispers. Now I want to hear from you. What's the most unexpected, life-changing decision you've ever made when everything seemed to fall apart? Share your thoughts in the comment section, because you never know, yours might be the one that someone else needs to hear today.